In our election watch today, this November's ballot is going to be long, and not just because of big races such as the president and a U.S. Senate seat in Colorado. There are also about a dozen ballot questions, one of which will ask if you think the state should get rid of an amendment in the state's constitution that impacts the rates for property tax calculations. We're going 360 on the issue on News 5 at 4. Colorado's cost of living gets a lot of attention, and for homeowners in the state, a perk for many is the state's relatively low property taxes. This all goes back to the Gallagher Amendment, which voters approved in 1982. It says the state's property tax base needs to be split 45-55, with homeowners making up 45% and non-residential property making up the rest. Now, because of this, the assessment rate for homeowners has dropped from 21% in 1982 to 7.15% today, while most businesses are locked in at 29%. This means for a $350,000 home, the assessed value is $25,000. And many state lawmakers say it could hurt the state's budget.
They've had to pay 4 times what residential properties are paying.
Representative Danae Esgar chairs the Joint Budget Committee.
We're going to have to look at everything that we cover and figure out how we dig in a time we're already in the hole.
Lawmakers were told this year property taxes could be cut 18% in the next assessment rate period, from 7.15% to 5.8%, which could equate to millions lost to fund things like schools.
In a year where we just had to cut $3.3 billion out of our state budget, looking at that next drop and knowing that it's imminent kind of kicked everybody into motion and said we need to get this on the ballot this November.
Currently, schools are funded through a combination of local property taxes, federal and state funds. But when there's not enough local revenue coming in, the state backfills the rest. And it can put a strain on the budget. If the amendment passes, assessment rates will freeze for at least 3 years.
All we're saying is let's leave it where it is right now so we can stop that bleed.
But others say this is a tax hike. The residential assessment rate is set every 2 years, and with a forecast dropping it to 5.8% next year.
My problem with this is just it doesn't address it.
Even with the rates freezing, opponents say it should be up to local governments.
Be a regional approach and talk about setting assessment rates in different ways, given that housing value doesn't go up the exact same way.
And there's concern about how it can help business owners.
It doesn't really help businesses because the assessment rate will still be 29%. And there is no plan for what comes next.
There's also some other challenges under the current process. With the state's Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, or TABOR, all tax increases, including the residential assessment rate, must go to a vote of the people. Because of this, some years the assessment rate needed to increase, even with the 45-55 split. Whether this should change, voters will decide in a matter of weeks. And with about 6 weeks until the election, here at News 5, we are making sure you are prepared. You can find this story and a guide to some of Colorado's fiscal policies on our website. Just click on Election 2020.